Hey, warrior. There's something this world will never say out loud, but you know it's true. The more you give, the less they see you. The more you explain, the less they listen. And the more loyal you are, the easier you are to betray. I saw that truth destroy someone close to me. He gave everything, his time, his forgiveness, his silence. He bent himself backward to carry people who'd forget him the moment he stopped carrying. 3 years later, I saw him again. Very different man. No softness, no explaining, no pretending. He was cold, not bitter, silent, not weak. And I asked him, "What happened?" He said, "The world didn't change. I did. I stopped letting it break me." Those words followed me like a shadow. Because deep down, I knew what he meant. He wasn't just speaking about himself. He was telling the story of every person who gave too much for too long. He was telling my story, and he might be telling yours too. There are two versions of you. One knows how to love so deeply that it hurts. That one bends, explains, tolerates, waits. That one bleeds in silence, hoping people will wake up and value what they never earned. That one spends nights overthinking and days overgiving. Then there's the other version, the one that's been buried because the people around you needed you soft, needed you quiet, needed you open, always. That version listens more than it speaks. It moves without seeking permission. It cuts off access without announcing it. That version doesn't beg or chase. And when it leaves, people feel it. You've been the first version for too long. You've handed loyalty to people who couldn't spell the word. You've forgiven lies wrapped in casual tone. And you've mistaken your silence for strength. But all it really did was teach people they could walk on you without consequence. Machiavelli once said, "It's better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." Not because fear is greater, because fear is respected when love is not. If you have to choose between being cherished and being unshakable, pick unshakable. Because love without respect is manipulation in disguise. Starting now, we awaken the second version of you. And I'm not talking about cruelty, not revenge. This is about clarity, power, boundaries. It's about becoming the version of you that they feel before you speak. The one who disappears without drama. The one who isn't broken by betrayal because they saw it coming and had the door half shut already. Everything is about to shift. There are 8 psychological transformations that will separate who you were from who you're becoming. Each one is going to hurt, not because it's wrong, because it's different. Because it's going to demand you let go of the identity that kept you safe, but also held you down. By the end, you won't even recognize the person you were before. No more apologizing for your boundaries. No more handing second chances to people who tripped over the first. No more softening yourself so others feel comfortable misusing you. You're not just going to protect your peace. You're going to create it with silence, presence, and restraint. Say this out loud or drop it in the comments. I will not break again. Let's begin. The truth no one ever prepared you for is this. It wasn't your heart that betrayed you. It was who you gave it to. You gave love to people who used it as leverage. You stayed loyal beyond reason. You gave without waiting to see if someone was worthy. And you kept giving because you thought it would eventually change their behavior. It didn't. Because in this world, what you give easily is never respected. What's offered with no cost gets treated like a discount. And you were handing out gold to people who would spit in your face if you asked for silver. You tried to show them what a real one looks like. And all they saw was someone easy to access. They didn't read your help as loyalty. They read it as need. You fixed problems they caused. You forgave apologies that never came. You kept conversations alive when you should have let the silence close the chapter. That's not love. That's self-neglect. In psychology, reciprocity creates respect. But you handed it out in advance, hoping it would earn reciprocation. It didn't. It earned entitlement. Every time you cleaned up messes you didn't make, they learned they never had to take accountability. Every time you said, "It's okay," without demanding better, they decided they didn't need to change. Machiavelli said, "Men are quicker to offend the one who is loved than the one who is feared." When people know you'll stay, they stop watching how they treat you. When they know you'll explain away their behavior, they stop hiding their disrespect. You've been nurturing people who only know how to feed off guilt. You've been explaining your needs like they're unreasonable. Like self-respect has to be translated to people who already speak betrayal fluently. You've been rewarding ingratitude with access, with love, with loyalty, with time, and it's time for that to end. Because the ungrateful are not confused, they're comfortable, and now is when you make them uncomfortable, not with rage, not with revenge, but with removal, with cool, emotionless detachment. You no longer correct people with conversation. You correct them with absence. You no longer reward potential. You only reward presence and proof. From this point on, your forgiveness has a cost. Your energy has criteria, and your presence has a gate. They don't just get to walk through it because they used to know you. Let them wonder why you're distant. Let them circle their brains trying to figure out what happened to your warmth. Here's what happened. It froze. When you realized some people preferred you exhausted. They don't hunt your love. They hunt your guilt. They twist your empathy into chains. You just cut them. And now they don't know how to grip a ghost. You are no longer easy to reach. You no longer explain your silence. Your absence is sharp now. Let them feel it. Say it. My kindness has limits. Pain doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter you. It doesn't care about your ideas of fairness or your excuses for weakness. Pain isn't your enemy. It's your mirror. And when it finally shows you your reflection, it doesn't hold back. Because pain reveals the truth. It reveals where you've given too much without return, where you've trusted too easily, where you built dreams in people who were never steady enough to build with you. It doesn't whisper. It burns. And what separates the broken from the powerful isn't who hurt them. It's what they did with it. Weak people want comfort. Strong people extract information. They take the fire and forge a weapon with it. You've been asking the wrong questions. Why did this happen to me? Why'd they do this to me? But the powerful ask better questions. What does this pain expose in me? Where was I blind? Where was I unguarded? You don't grow just because you suffered. You grow when you look pain in the face and say, "Teach me." Pain is a blueprint wrapped in agony. Every betrayal reveals where you placed your security. Every rejection shows you where you outsourced your value. Every disappointment reminds you that permanence is an illusion and control is the only constant. Machiavelli said, "Never waste the opportunities offered by misfortune." Because in reality, pain is leverage. If you're smart, it sharpens you. It folds your weakness into self-discipline. It turns your opened wounds into unreadable silence. It teaches you how to maneuver through chaos undetected, unbothered, and unfazed. You stop needing apologies. You stop needing to be chosen. You stop bleeding at the hands that never thought to clean you up. Turns out, your deepest suffering wasn't the enemy. It was the training ground. Emotionally weak people want closure. They want poetic endings and peace served with warm hands. But real ones? They don't wait for endings. They finish it themselves. Quietly, strategically, permanently. Because while they were busy playing games with your peace, you were learning, building, becoming too sharp to hold with bare hands again. That's why you stopped explaining. Why you stopped arguing. Why even your anger is gone now. Because anger is loud and power is quiet. Hurt no longer destroys you. It enrolls you into a private course no one else gets to take. You rebuild with facts, not fantasies. Every mistake turned into a mindset shift. Every lie taught you how to read behind someone's eyes. Every failure shaped your execution. They thought they ruined you, but they rebuilt you without knowing. They created the most dangerous kind of man, the one who turned his suffering into silence and his silence into control. Repeat this. My pain builds power. You want to be free? Kill your hunger to be understood. You're still enslaved to the idea that if you explain beautifully enough, people will value you. They won't, because most people aren't trying to get to know you. They were trying to figure you out, so they can predict you, so they can use your truths as traps. You think you're being open, you're being studied. Your transparency is not always seen as honesty. To the wrong people, it's a target. Because the moment they understand your pain points, they can control your triggers. They can manipulate your motives. They can lead you with breadcrumbs. And just like that, your rawness becomes your downfall. That's why powerful minds move in silence. They don't vent, they observe. They don't beg to be perceived correctly. They use misperception as camouflage. Machiavelli said, "He who wishes to command must conceal his intention." Your new strength is in your restraint. Let them guess why you're silent. Let them create false conclusions. Let your scarcity create tension in their mind. People don't fear what they understand. They fear what they can't explain. And that's the entire point. Power doesn't announce. It exists, unjustified, unapologetic, unreadable. Your new job is not to defend your honor. It's to become so solid in yourself that defending it becomes irrelevant. Your actions saturate the room before your explanations do. Repeat it again. My silence speaks power. You've been begging too much. Begging for attention. Begging for closure. For answers. For love. Running after people who weren't running toward you. You don't see it yet. But every time you beg for what someone already decided not to give, you tell them you're willing to shrink just to be chosen. Attachment is deception. You labeled it loyalty. You called it care. But often, it's just a need you didn't know how to quiet, screaming through other people's bodies. You showed up where you were ignored. You stayed where you were used. You fought for what you should have never had to prove. But the day you stop begging is the day you start shifting power. Because detachment isn't cold, it's calculated. It's discipline with a silent face. It's not that you don't feel anymore. It's that you feel everything, but none of it controls your next move. You no longer freak out when someone pulls away. You observe. They disappear? You disconnect. They lie? You disengage. No explanations. No breakdown. No chase. Because power starts where reactivity ends. The one who doesn't need the last word? Dangerous. The one who never responds to provocation? Deadly. Discipline breeds fear, not belligerence. Detachment confuses manipulators because they no longer have your reactions to use as fuel, and when they can't feed on you, they can't find control over you. Machiavelli taught, "He who cannot master himself is mastered by others." Let this be the day you stop trying to win battles someone else set the rules for. Let it be the day you put your peace above someone's chaos. And say it now, I choose peace over people. You gave away your peace too easily. You left the door open for anyone just because they knocked. You heard their sob story. You saw their pain, and you let them walk right in. No security check, no character test. But what happened next? They took what they wanted, left a mess behind. And you blamed yourself. You blamed yourself for being too trusting, too kind, too hopeful. But who told you that being open is strength? Who convinced you that letting people climb your walls without permission makes you enlightened? Let me give you something no one else will. Being wide open with no boundaries is not a virtue. It's an invitation for chaos to feel comfortable. Because the more soft you are without a sword to guard it, the more you attract those who sharpen their knives on kindness. Every time you let someone cross a line without consequence, they started to believe you don't have any lines at all. And that's how people test you. Not to see what you'll say, but to see what you'll allow, what you'll make peace with, and whether or not they can walk on sacred ground and still be welcomed with fake smiles. But now you see it. Now you enforce it. Now you don't explain your boundaries. You demonstrate the cost of crossing them. You go silent. You go scarce. You disappear. Because when people realize they no longer have access to you, everything clicks. You don't need to scream respect into existence. You apply it like gravity. It's felt, or it's missed. Let others misread your distance as arrogance, as ego, as unforgiving. But a boundary without enforcement isn't a boundary. It's a suggestion. Machiavelli said, "He who allows himself to be deceived is already deserving of the deception." You taught them how to treat you. Now you teach them what your silence costs. Your peace is not open to negotiation. They comply or they lose you. Say this now, and mean it. My boundaries protect me. You don't always need to speak. Sometimes silence says everything they're not ready to hear. Most people can't handle a quiet man. They panic when you pause. They interpret your stillness as danger, because they can't predict what you're thinking or what you'll do next. And anything they can't predict becomes a threat. That's the real reason people try to get you emotional, try to make you react. Because as long as you're loud, as long as you're defending, explaining, or arguing, they can box you in, they can decode you, they can control you. But when you go quiet, they lose their grip. Because silence is pressure, and pressure reveals truth. The loudest one in the room usually wants control. The quiet one already has it. Silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. And the world wasn't built for quiet men. It was built by them. You reclaim your energy when you stop offering too much of it through words. You reclaim your power when you stop telling people your every move, motive, and meaning. Because the moment they think they fully understand you, they stop respecting your depth. When you're too easy to read, you lose your mystery. And without mystery, you lose your aura. And without aura, you are forgettable. Why do you think the most powerful leaders, thinkers, and rulers throughout history all had restraint? Because mystery is magnetic. You don't have to yell when your energy whispers the truth already. I know more than I say, and I don't reveal what I plan. Machiavelli said, "Never expose the full depth of your thoughts, because your silence forces them to wonder. What is he thinking? What is he planning? What does it mean that he didn't respond?" Let them spiral. Let them get nervous inside their own projections. That tension works for you now. You're not silent because you froze. You're silent because you've already decided. Think about that next time someone tries to provoke you. They're not looking for a fight. They're looking for your emotional map. Don't give it to them. Your silence ruptures their illusion of control. Your composure makes them more uncomfortable than your anger ever could. You don't turn cold. You turn calculated. They don't get volume anymore. They get presence. Weighted, controlled, strategic. Say it quietly, but with conviction. My silence controls chaos. Loyalty sounds beautiful. But most people have no idea what it actually costs. They love the version of loyalty where you're blindly devoted, where you give without keeping score, where you sacrifice even when they've stopped respecting you. But that's not loyalty. That's slavery in disguise. The more loyal you are without evaluation, the more invisible you become. Because people don't value what they assume will never leave. That's why people violate those closest to them. Not because they're evil, but because they think you'll tolerate it. They expect that no matter how far they push, your love will keep pulling them back in. You show up when you're disrespected, and they call that noble. No, it's predictable. And predictability in power is death. The strong don't hand loyalty over out of emotion. They assess the field, measure a person's integrity, watch their patterns, not their words. And only then do they offer allegiance, on their terms, conditional, earned, intentional. Machiavelli warned us, when a man depends entirely on someone else, his freedom dies quietly. So you stay flexible, you adapt, you play loyal while staying independent. That doesn't make you two-faced, it makes you smart. Because the world isn't kind, it's calculated. And if loyalty ever puts a knife in your back, you were never loyal, you were naive. Detach your identity from people. Attach it to your purpose, your growth, your code. And when they shift, so do you. Never stay somewhere out of obligation when the alignment is gone. When your loyalty becomes expected rather than appreciated, that's your cue to leave. Keep them wondering where your true allegiance lies. Keep your loyalty quiet, suspicious, strategic. You're not here to promise forever. You're here to reward consistency. You don't need to announce where you stand. You let their behavior decide how long you'll stay. Say it and believe it. My loyalty is given with intention and removed without warning. You're evolving, and where you're going, being liked is no longer a requirement. Now you want something deeper, more permanent, more internal. You want to be untouchable. And no, that doesn't mean you'll never feel again. It doesn't mean you'll be ruthless just for the sake of it. It means you'll no longer be emotionally owned by anyone or anything outside of you. You stop blaming. You stop pleading. You stop handing out explanations to people who abandoned you without asking any questions. You stop demanding apologies that are never coming. You stop looking for love in relationships that dishonor you. And slowly, you take everything back. Your energy, your command, your balance. Becoming untouchable is the death of need. You no longer need them to get it. You no longer need to prove yourself. You no longer wonder what they think of you, because you know who you are, even if everyone else forgets. When you're untouchable, betrayal doesn't shift your peace. Loss doesn't dismantle your identity. Manipulation doesn't land, because no one else holds your control panel anymore. You own your reaction. You own your response. You own your mind. That's when people start noticing the difference. Because pain doesn't reach you the same. Games don't pull you in anymore. You're just still, unreachable, dangerous in your presence. They don't know if they still have a place in your life. And that confusion humbles them more than your love ever did. Now you walk with power that's not in your voice. It's in your pause, your pace, your silence, your decision to walk away and never come back. They feel it, but they can't name it. You're no longer explainable. You are experienced, controlled, carved by fire. That's what becoming untouchable looks like. It's not about being cruel. It's about being complete. Say these words to yourself and mean every syllable. Nothing can break me. The world tried to break you, not once, not twice, over and over again, until you forgot who you really were. It chipped away at your confidence, taught you that kindness earns suffering. It praised your patience only to exploit it, praised your loyalty only to test it. You gave, you stayed. You waited for someone, anyone, to choose you with the same intensity you chose them. And when they didn't, you blamed yourself. And still, you gave more time, more chances, more silence, disguised as strength. You believed in love so deeply that you ignored the lack of respect, kept forgiving words never backed by change. You shrunk yourself to keep their comfort intact. But the truth? They never valued you. Not fully, because you never made them fear what it would feel like to lose you. You were always available, emotionally, physically, energetically, predictable, soft, good. And you thought that would be enough someday. But it wasn't. It drained you. It broke you. It buried your edge so deep, you forgot you ever had one. Until something inside you snapped. One day you woke up and said, no more. No more waiting to be understood. No more repeating your worth to people who stopped listening. No more showing up for others who disappear when it's your turn to fall. No more carrying people who let you drown to keep themselves standing. You didn't become cold. You became honest. You didn't become heartless. You started reserving your heart for those who earn it. This version of you, it's not built from hate. It's built from clarity. Clarity that says, not everyone deserves access. Not every excuse deserves forgiveness. Not every apology deserves a reunion. Your light, your love, your support, it is no longer given freely. It's filtered. You don't need closure. Your silence is closure. You don't need to be seen. You see yourself clearly now. And what they call ego, that's just your new standard. You've stopped answering messages that drain you. You've stopped explaining your distance. You've stopped chasing conversations with people who never had the range to hold you in the first place. That's what growing up into power looks like. You got tired of being broken. So you became untouchable, and they call it a phase. But it's not a phase. It's a rite of rebirth. They don't realize the price you paid to become this composed. They don't know how many nights you cried so you could walk like this during the day. They don't know what it costs to carry yourself like a warrior in a world that begs for sheep. You're not bitter. You're just done. You no longer hope for something better. You build better. You no longer beg for loyalty. You demand it quietly, then walk if it's not there. Because this version of you doesn't negotiate with disrespect. This version of you is not trying to be loved. This version of you is busy building an empire out of every moment you were overlooked. Now when you walk alone, if necessary. Now when you speak, you do it only when it matters. Now when someone leaves, there's no panic, no reaching, because your peace is no longer something they can shake. It's rooted in solitude now, solid, unmovable, untouchable. Let them wonder what changed. Let them miss the softness they once weaponized. Let them talk. Let them spin their stories. You don't owe anyone the comfort of the older version of you. You don't live there anymore. You live in this one. The one who walks away when compassion isn't returned. The one who protects peace like it's priceless, because it is. The one with weapons forged from every scar they swore would ruin you. You're not here to be remembered for how much you gave away. You're here to be respected for what you refused to lose, yourself. The world tried to break you, but instead, you became the one thing they fear most. Still, focused, unreachable. Let everyone who misused you learn this truth. You never needed to scream to have power. You just needed to stop giving it away. Whisper this, or write it down until it's carved into your mind. I am untouchable now.